All right, augments. As we've mentioned, augments are an evergreen mechanic and they are sticking around. But there are some changes, of course, because as we make each set and we learn things, we make, improvements to the system. So the first improvement here is now augment rerolls as a whole have been changed to now 1 augment reroll per slot. So when you're presented with 3 augments, you can reroll them individually. So for example, in this screenshot here, you can see I've already rerolled my first and second augment, but I haven't rerolled my third yet. And so I can look at these and go, well, social distancing is my favorite, but let me check inconsistency first, reroll it, and get something else. So, and this is not limited. Every time you see an augment, you will have a reroll in each slot. So basically, every augment is now showing you up to 6 that you want to see, which should increase the odds of seeing something that you're interested in. So pretty cool. Now, here's the crazy thing about augments this time. We've been playing with augments for 3 sets now, set 6, 7, and 8. And we've seen Celestial Blessing long enough. We've seen Thrill of the Hunt long enough. It was time for some new augments. So we got rid of almost all the old augments. Only 36 of them were kept. And we think it's 36 of the best. Ones that, honestly, TFT would have felt really bad without. Things like AFK, Cruel Pact, Double Trouble, Jeweled Lotus, Level Up, or Birthday Present, one of my favorite. So you can see the full list here. If an augment is not on this list, it's gone. It's not part of TFT anymore. We felt it was time for a pretty big refresh, and so we made a bunch of new augments. Now, you might be wondering, how many new augments did we make? Well, more than 240. There are a lot of new augments. Now, granted, some are just going to be, slight variations of old classics. Others will be brand new things, maybe things you saw in like the hero augment space, but converted into a normal augment. Now, there's no way I could go over every single augment. There's just no time for this video. It'd be 6 hours long. But the various websites out there, such as like tactics.tools, will have the full list of augments, and you'll get to play with a bunch of them. But here's a few examples. On the silver side, we now have red buff, which says your unit's attacks burn their targets, basically apply burn for 8 seconds. So that's pretty neat. Inconsistency, which is, the opposite of consistency, where if your streak is less than 3, gain 2 gold. So that's kind of neat if you wanted to play win-loss, or something like that. On the gold side, Escort Quest. Gain a training dummy, which is some extra health and tankiness if you want. Each round it survives, gain 3 gold. So you can put it in the back, try to gain that 3 gold. It's still an extra training dummy, so pretty interesting way of using it. Or Sleight of Hand. Gain a Thieves Gloves. Your allies holding Thieves Gloves gain 30% attack speed. So make lots of Thieves Gloves. Use this with maybe, say, Lucky Gloves. You can do some cool stuff. And then on the prismatic side, there are some wild prismatics. I'm not going to lie. Some of these are bonkers. So let us know. Like I said, we're taking some risks here. If we have to nerf or disable some of them, we're ready to. And we know that, to be clear. We know. But we wanted to go into PBE being a little risky. So, for example, I think this one's a little bonkers. But Endless Hordes gain +3 maximum team size. Your units can only hold 1 item. So that means if you're level 8, you now have 11 units, but they all only have 1 item. So pretty interesting. Definitely powers up your traits. Let us know. Or Freaky Friday. Gain an Infinity Force. After 7 player combats, gain a second Infinity Force. So, like I said, lots of new things to try. Some pretty wild ones out there. Let us know. All right, speaking of augments, we also finally took a pass at some of the Ornn items. Now, you don't see it listed here, but I'll call it out now. We've removed the Blitzcrank Grab Ornn item. That is gone. So no more Blitzcrank Grab. No more, there's an Ornn item late game, now everyone has to reposition. That's gone. But there are 5 new Ornn items to play with, such as Deathfire Grasp, which is really good for burning down a really strong tank. Trickster's Glass, which can create another clone and give you a bunch of stats. Hull Crusher, which is a really cool tanky item for your frontliner who's willing to start by themselves. Sniper's Focus, really good for backline, increases damage for each hex between them and their target, so the further they're out of the way, the more damage. Blacksmith's Gloves, which is basically Thieves' Gloves, but for Ornn items, so that's kind of fun. So check those out, as well as all the old classics. They're still around. And then there's even a new augment called All That Shimmers, which gains a Shimmerscale item. So that's pretty cool if you liked those. Now, keep in mind, they have been adjusted a little bit. Some have been balanced, nerfed, buffed, etc. to make sure that they're all pretty viable. But if you were a big fan of Shimmerscale items, there's a way to play them, get lots of gold. So, yeah, pretty neat.